Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of The First for Us. We are a recap show watching The Last of Us, an HBO program based on the game of the same name. I am John, and with me as always is
Justin
and Kevin.
This week, we're talking about episode 7, Left Behind. As usual, I'm going to read a synopsis of the episode. We'll discuss it. Then we'll go into our winners and losers of the episode, as well as predictions and hopes for next week. I also have a slight surprise segment, just more of a question really for these two, based on some things that happened in this episode, but that's on the hush hush for now. So let's get into episode 7, Left Behind. Ellie and an injured Joel shelter in an abandoned suburban house. As Joel approaches death, he urges Ellie to leave him and find Tommy. Ellie remembers her time in Fedra Military School, which she attended with her best friend Riley. Riley ran away and has been missing for 3 weeks, forcing Ellie to stick up for herself. She gets in a fight. The captain lectures her to reach her potential and become an officer. Riley sneaks back into their dorm room and reveals to Ellie she has joined the Fireflies. She brings Ellie to an abandoned mall where they amuse themselves with a photo booth, arcade, and carousel. Riley tells Ellie the Fireflies have assigned her to a post in Atlanta and is her last night in Boston. While Ellie is initially upset, she convinces Riley to stay and they kiss. An infected attacks them and Ellie manages to kill it, but both get bitten during the struggle. Tearfully, they decide to stay together and wait for the infection to take hold. In the present, Ellie finds a sewing needle and begins to stitch up Joel's wound. Okay, so last week, based on the trailer, I had mentioned I might have known what was going to happen this episode. So there was a comic book series, a 4-episode run called The Last of Us American Dream. And in fact, a good portion of this episode was in the comics. However, they did deviate quite a bit. And there was stuff that was not included in the comics that was covered here, which I learned in a separate way that there was some DLC content that came out that also focused on this time and provided some of the story that we saw here. So I was happy to see some familiar scenes or pieces, but also pleasantly surprised that there was quite a bit that I didn't know or see coming. So let's jump into your guys' initial thoughts on this episode, and we'll start with Justin.
Well, I mean, like the others, I thought that this was a really good episode. I've really enjoyed seeing a little bit of the backstory that we get with Ellie, because I know she talks about the Fedra school and stuff like that she was in. So it was kind of interesting to see kind of how that kind of operated, and how they're true believers. They're just doing God's good work, so to speak. And we're the only, like the captain was telling Ellie, we're the only thing that keeps humanity from becoming monsters and killing each other and stuff like that. So so it makes definitely the mall scene, the mall sequence was really well done. I kind of was chuckling during the arcade, trying to look at all the different video games and stuff like that was out there. And then also it brings back to me that scene from the gas station where Ellie sees the Mortal Kombat game cabinet. Oh, I've played this before, and now we get to see actually why. So it kind of harkens back to that particular episode. And I like the title made a lot of sense for the episode. The whole thing takes place when she's standing there on the stairs trying to decide whether or not to actually leave or to go back and try and save Joel. And of course we see, the decision that she makes. So I was happy with it. I thought it was kind of cool to see kind of the story of how she got bit and how that all came to pass.
Yeah, Kev?
I really enjoyed the character development with Ellie. I liked the Fedra captain, Kwong, played by Terry Chen. I thought he was really trying to take her under his wing and do her a favor by trying to help her along. I really liked the set design. In particular, I thought the mall set was absolutely amazing. I don't know if they took over an abandoned mall or that was just all set, built up in Alberta, but it was really amazing the way that it was done. It was heartbreaking. I mean, there's a little bit more to the story. I would assume that Riley probably ended up getting infected and taken over, unlike Ellie. And I'm sure there's got to be more to that story. And I would as heartbreaking as it likely is, I think it would be another, interesting piece to the puzzle that is Ellie. But I certainly never believed that Ellie was going to leave Joel where he was. And as soon as she was digging around, I was like, she's probably looking for some sort of, antiseptic, alcohol or something. And as soon as she found the needle and thread, I'm like, oh, that's perfect. If it didn't hit an an organ, might be okay. As long as he doesn't get an infection. So we'll see what happens with Joel. But all the stuff from this episode was really very interesting about Fedra and Riley and Ellie. And it showed a different side of Ellie being able to be with a contemporary, a friend. We got a little of that with Sam, but not to this level. And it was just heartbreaking at the end because you could tell the two of them are really starting to form even deeper relationship, and it all gets ripped away from them. It was heartbreaking.
Yeah, this was so I appreciated the parts where it deviated from the comic, at least. And to your point about it being heartbreaking, it made me think back to when Joel basically is like, you don't know what loss is. And she has to remind him, much like everyone else, I've lost people, I've lost family and best friends and, a first crush. And, to your other point, Kevin, I do think whether they show it or not, it's definitely implied. We know Ellie survives. We know she's immune. We are pretty sure Riley is not. And unfortunately, we'll probably turn while they're sitting there waiting for death together and put Ellie in quite a situation. So I am fairly confident that scene, as heartbreaking as it is, will be shown probably in the next 2 episodes. Although there is something for it not happening, right? Again, I think if you're paying attention, I think we all know that that's probably the case, and maybe that's more effective. I wanted to go back though, because we did talk about Ellie. This is, pre really shit hitting the fan for her. And, we got to see a couple of things from her, I think. The first was we got to see her be a kid again. We got to see some childlike wonder when she got on the escalator and was like, what? This is an escalator? Again, we see that, holy shit, this is the first time I've seen this and first time I've seen that. And this is crazy. And that was, fun because we think about what she's gone through in the time she's been on the show this season and the unfortunate, things that have happened to her. But I also thought it was interesting, I don't know if ideology is the right word, but, when you talk about the Fedra officer, she's in the military school. And my initial thought was, oh, she'll be super anti-authority and buck anyone trying to tell her what to do or any sort of, any structure like that. And in reality, what we saw was, the officer gave her a choice and it didn't take her long. It doesn't look like she was lying. She was like, yeah, I want the good life. I'd rather be an officer. I'll tell this bitch what to do and live with my perks and enjoy it. But we also see her when she's debating it with Riley, right? Riley's like, look, I joined the Fireflies, screw Fedra, and they were going to make me watch people shovel shit, and they don't really care about you, and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, that's propaganda. And then, it was surprising to see her kind of be pro-Fedra for a bit. And I thought, I did not necessarily see that coming. And wasn't something I remembered from the comics. I'm pretty sure she was pretty anti-Fedra. But this episode, at least in the first part, she to me seemed pretty pro Fedra.
I really didn't get. Oh, sorry, Kevin. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I didn't really get that sense from her being pro Fedra, to be honest with you. I think, when I was watching the episode, to me, it almost seemed like that she knows Fedra sucks, but it's the best of a bad situation. So she's going to try and make it as easy on herself as possible. Like, I didn't get any kind of, she's like, I think she was kind of mad at Riley because Riley was going to screw up, might screw this whole thing up for her if she gets in trouble or anything like that. Or if she's known to be associating with a Firefly, it could really get her in trouble and get her kicked out. So I think that's kind of what she was mad about. But I don't think she's a true believer in terms of like what Fedra's doing. She's just trying to make the best life for herself.
Yeah, this episode is a good reminder that, two things can be true at the same time. Fedra can be a positive in the sense that it's keeping society together, and it can still completely and utterly fail at other aspects like treating people like human beings and allowing people to thrive and doing a particularly good job at anything else other than keeping infected out.
Yeah, I mean, she was ready to leave with Riley in the end. So, I guess maybe I might have been overstated. I don't think she was in love with Fedra and was super, hey, go Fedra, go. But it was just surprising to see her even stick up for him at all. I would have thought if you had said both, Riley and Ellie, I mean, obviously we don't know a whole lot about Riley, but like which one's more likely to join the Fireflies and, be roped in. I would have picked Ellie again because she seems pretty anti-authoritarianism in general, like any sort of authority, not even like negative fascist type authority, just like, don't tell me what to do. And so a group like the Fireflies offering her an ability to have guns, which she wants, potentially booze, which she enjoys, bombs, which she may also enjoy. I think so long as they're not making her kill innocent people, I just had her pegged more for that and being maybe more susceptible to that. So it was just a little surprising for me that she seemed to at least defend Fedra to Riley instead of immediately going, great, let me pack my bag, let's get the hell out of here. I'm glad to see you're alive. Let's do this together. She was just hesitant towards that, which shocked me a little bit. But let's move into the mall because both of you mentioned it. It was fantastic. The way they shot that, the way that came up and the way they interacted with it, Kevin, to your point, the set itself looked amazing. That shot when the lights come on was just, I thought, incredible. I mean, the show just continues to do it over and over again. Mm-hmm. But let's talk about their time in the mall. Justin, you mentioned Mortal Kombat. Was there anything else? We're all children of the 80s. So we all grew up with malls when they were still a thing. I know this super dates us and makes us just crazy old men now, because I can't imagine anyone under the age of 30 or 40 thinking about going to a mall to hang out or do things. But did you catch any nostalgia yourself? Were you guys big mall guys?
I went to the mall some. I mean, we've got the Fox Valley Mall in Aurora, Illinois that we used to go to. And I don't remember them having an arcade for a real long, but I can remember going to Aladdin's Castle and playing a lot of those same games. Correct me if I'm wrong, Justin, but was that one of the cruising games that she was sitting in for a bit?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And that was always one that I gravitated towards if I was gonna do a racing game, although I know one of Justin's favorites is Wave Race. So I think I didn't spend as much time looking around as you might have, Justin, but it certainly is a piece of nostalgia walking around, particularly the arcade for me, being a video game geek.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I just was just sitting there, just kind of poking around. Oh, I see Galaga. Oh, I see Tetris. And stuff like that. So. I'm sure probably due to some kind of licensing, they had to be really selective on how much they actually, showcase stuff and all that. But I just thought it was kind of cool. Like, it brought back a lot of memories. I used to do the same thing. I think it was Aladdin's Castle that was in Fox Valley Mall back in the day. And I remember wasting a lot of time there when I was in high school and early college years and stuff like that. So, I mean, really, I didn't have much use for the mall outside of that. Other than going to like the music stores and stuff like that, but it just brought back very, very familiar, feelings. You see a lot of the same stores, and like it was kind of interesting how they were walking around, seeing what stores got ransacked and which ones didn't, depending on, the shoes. The shoes were completely cleaned out because everybody went and ransacked that store, but then other stores were left pretty much intact once everything kind of hit the shit. So it was definitely a lot of fun to watch.
You guys didn't spend your teen or preteen years getting dropped off at the mall looking for ladies or other teenagers to hang with? No, you didn't do that?
No, not at all. I was not exactly a ladies' man back in the day.
Nor was I. Although, later on, after I was able to drive, we'd sometimes go to the mall, but that was not a particularly usual event for us.
Listen, I didn't say I was successful. What I said, I went to try, which is why. So that was one of the things I really enjoyed about this episode too. Was right. So they're essentially still kids, even though she's about to turn 17. I think Riley said, you're still youngish, you're still high schoolish. That that's at least, again, I spent some time. I wasn't like I was there every weekend, but spent a lot of time going to the mall with friends, and again, trying to talk to the pretty girls that walk by or go into the stores and do stuff. So I thought, to me personally, it was a little something extra that their friendship / love story, crush, whatever, took place in the mall. It seemed very apt for that age range. We saw Bill and Frank, old men meet and live their lives, and this was again, I would say, a little mirror of that, which we've seen this show do a couple of times and show us different pairings, something similar, just slightly different. And so I thoroughly enjoyed it. Now, what were your thoughts on the, I guess, I don't know if crush or first love, their relationship, not just friendship, but then clearly Ellie has been harboring feelings for Riley for a bit. I think you saw that it obviously turns out Riley also had those feelings, and the look that Ellie has when she realizes, oh, Riley does have the feelings for him, because I think, again, I'll speak for myself. Maybe you guys have been there, right? You're crushing hard on someone, and then you make the move, right? Either you say it or you go in for something, and then that moment of truth, whether they, say, nah, not for me, or, that elation when they go, yeah, I'm into you too. And you're like, holy shit, this is amazing. So what do you guys think? We'll start with you, Kev, about their relationship, their dynamic.
Well, I was a little bit surprised they didn't realize it after having lived in the same room, but who knows how long they were doing that. Long enough to form a friendship, but not long enough to realize that there was love there. But with their age group, and the environment that you're living in, it's not that they're living in, it's not surprising that they would only find this out after there had been some sort of outside force that was about to split them up, and that just, like I said, it just makes the whole thing so tragic. But you wonder how Ellie's life would have been, enriched by, having Riley in her life for longer. And it's just very unfortunate. But as far as, from a writing aspect, it's a great way to, to talk more about Ellie's life. I found the episode as a whole kind of excruciating to watch from one other aspect, because you just knew that any second a zombie was going to pop out and at least, bite Ellie, if not, possibly kill Riley. And I found that rather excruciating for the whole time they were in the mall. I'm thinking that maybe, there wouldn't be quite as much story to it or whatnot, but man, it was a very well done episode.
Justin?
I mean, I thought definitely the whole dynamic between those two was written very well, and both of those actresses portrayed it perfectly, in my opinion. I kind of thought when the episode started, I kind of had the impression that there was already something going on, from like when Ellie's getting bullied and she ends up getting into that fight. The girl says to her, I can't remember the character's name that she ends up hitting, but the girl says to her, your friend isn't here to help you anymore, or something like that. So I thought maybe like the relationship was already there, and people were kind of maybe giving her crap for that, along with, whatever else that they were picking on her for. But so I was kind of surprised that, that it was kind of an unspoken love between the two, I guess. And you can definitely tell early on that Riley also she planned this whole thing for her. Like, she planned this whole trip to the mall in order to kind of say goodbye and stuff like that. And, I thought I could definitely tell something was happening when they were both standing there in front of the Victoria's Secret. And then, Riley walks away and Ellie's kind of fixing up her hair a little bit and stuff like that in the reflection. So, and just the way it was overall executed, them hanging out in the spirit Halloween and dancing with masks and stuff like that before Ellie decides, it's time, got to shoot my shot, and fortunately it hits. But it's definitely, you can see, especially after the fight, you can see kind of the pain in Riley's eyes because she feels like she caused this, she put Ellie in that position. So I was really disappointed we didn't see a resolution to that story, honestly. I have my own speculations that I'll save for later, but I really can't say anything bad about the way that story was portrayed.
It was extra unnerving that finally, after unspoken and probably testing the waters, all this built up, this tension, this friendship, this love that was there, you finally get this moment of euphoria, probably on both sides, but we see definitely on Ellie's side, and almost immediately it's cut short by the infected that comes in. So they in a shitty world, in a shitty situation that they have spent however much time together, and on Ellie's side, at least, Riley's now been gone for 3 whole weeks. She probably assumes they're dead, which is, she's already maybe potentially mourned, and you wonder what's going on. Now this person's come back in your life. They've shown you this amazing time with all of these wonders that they call it, what they've clearly gone out of their way to do for you. You're enjoying it. You're disappointed because she finds the bombs and then realizes there's more to what's going on here. And you haven't been totally forthright with me. And, I think part of the hurt might be, oh, I thought maybe this was you telling me you love me. And instead it's, oh, you're going to screw me. So you were trying to soften the blow by doing all this without telling me, oh, you're going to go to Atlanta tomorrow, because she walks out on her. So Justin, your point about the episode, right? She was going to leave Riley behind. And then she stops, much like she does with Joel, tears, and turns around and says, okay, fine, I'll come back and I'll go with you. And then, of course, again, the moment of joy immediately taken away by the infected. And then their reactions to being bitten were interesting to me. Ellie immediately with the no, and she knows immediately what it is, and she's trying to fight it. And you can see that fight when she starts smashing shit. She's upset and she's angry and she has to let it out. Riley gets bit. It's very calm. She just casually shows her. She's upset, of course, obviously, because, she's bit. Her friend is bit. But her reaction to it is just to sit down and kind of, accept it. Right? She mentions the suicide. It's a way out, but let's not. Let's be here for each other. So did that surprise either of you? Is that, you think, in line with the character, at least with Ellie, because she's the only one we spent time with? But what were your thoughts about the infected scene? Start with Kev.
Well, now I find myself wondering which of the 3 of us is the one that would want to go into the room and break shit. Because I'm okay. Because I'm definitely the one that would want a quiet room to maybe yell into a pillow, but mostly just be upset. Yeah. I don't have a lot else to say other than the tragedy of it all was well written and incredibly well acted by Storm Reed and Bella Ramsey. I thought they were great for this episode and together, and it was interesting to hear a little bit of the behind the scenes that they knew how important it was to find the right actor to pair with Bella Ramsey. And I feel like they certainly did that.
Yeah. Justin?
I was actually kind of surprised there was only one infected in there. Like, I guess when I'm sitting there watching the episode, kind of playing in my head what I thought was going to happen, I expected, maybe a small swarm or something like that to be there, or they're trapped somewhere and then they finally get out and there's maybe 10 of them or something like that chasing them throughout the mall. So just to have one, have it be one, I thought was kind of an interesting choice. Not a bad choice, just an interesting one. But yeah, I really don't have anything to add to that really we haven't already said. Agree, it was well done, and it makes the story of how she came to discover she's immune make a lot of sense.
Okay, then, since we're talking about the mall, let me unveil my segment. I'm calling it Mall Munchies. So, since we've all been to the mall many times when we were younger, and perhaps even still now, what I wanted to see was if you could only eat one mall food. So every mall generally has a food court. There's a variety of restaurants in it. If you could only eat one of them for the rest of your life, which would it be? And before you answer, I went ahead and looked up what are the most common, because you could say something like a Taco Bell or a Popeyes. Maybe you'll see those in malls, but those aren't the restaurants I'm talking about. I think we all know which ones I'm talking about, but I'll give you the top 11 and then I'll ask which one you would choose. So at number 11, Sarku, Japan. I don't know if I'm familiar with that one. Number 10, Sbarro's. Everybody knows Sbarro. Number 9, Wetzel's Pretzels. Number 8, Charlie's Philly Steaks. Number 7, Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Number 6, Jamba, or Jamba Juice is what it used to be called. Number 5, Cold Stone Creamery. Number 4, Cinnabon. Number 3, Auntie Anne's. Number 2, Panda Express. And the number 1, this actually surprised me a little bit, Baskin Robbins. So of those 11, you can only eat one for the rest of your life. Which one are you picking, Justin?
Charlie's Philly Steaks. That's some good shit.
Charlie's Philly Steaks. All right. Do you want to?
They've got them. They've got them at the mall here. They've got them at the malls here in Indy. I usually when I used to have to be at the Greenwood Park Mall, I would eat from there quite often. They have a lot of different varieties. They'll come out with like different ones. They'll have like a Texas Philly cheesesteak that has like hot peppers and stuff like that on it. They'll have the classic one, which is like what you think of a Philly cheesesteak. They'll have a lot of different varieties and they're all really good. So yeah, that's probably what I would do out of that list. That's what I would do. And we do have Sarku Japan here too. So I am very familiar with that place.
Okay. Now you mentioned the list. So before I go to Kev, is there one that you were thinking about that you would have picked that wasn't included in the 11?
Probably Asian Chow.
Okay. I don't know if I'm familiar with that one either.
That's another one. Kind of, yeah, I know we like all the malls around here, around by me anyway, have them, but your typical, really good, crappy Chinese food.
All right, Kev, of those 11, and then I'll also give you the same option if I didn't list something that you would choose. Which one are you eating for the rest of time?
I almost said Sapporo right away without even thinking about it. But when you said Auntie Anne's, it was all over. I want the pretzel. I want the pretzel. I want the cheese. I want the salt. I want the whole bit.
Well, the nice thing with that one too is, if I remember correctly, don't they also have dessert? Don't they have almost like a churro type thing?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, although I've never gotten it because I'm always wanting the Auntie Anne's salty pretzel with the cheese. But yes, they do definitely have the cinnamon. I'm sorry, what'd you call it?
I think it was like it's like a churro.
Yeah, churro. Yeah.
That's a good choice because again, you get the meat and the dessert, because you get the pretzel dogs. That's a good choice. Now I'm going to throw it to, which I'm surprised neither one of you picked. I'm going Panda Express. So Justin, I know you mentioned Asian Chow. I don't know what it is, but I'm going Panda. I enjoy Panda now. Sometimes I will just go to a Panda Express. It is not in any sense of the word Michelin star anything. It's not even necessarily good Asian food, but every now and then I just get a hunkering for it and I'll go to Panda Express. So
I understand.
I think my number 2 would be Auntie Anne's though, just because you get a wide range of stuff. Charlie's is good. I just think I would get tired of it. I think like when I think Charlie's, it's just like, oh, great, more steak, more like of the same. But Justin, defend your pick.
Say that's like a bad thing.
Variety is the spice of life.
I can never have too much steak. I'll die very young, but I'll die happy.
I do understand Panda though, because I've had a fair number of Panda Bowl with the fried rice and the Kung Pao chicken, so I get it. I do.
I'm totally a Mongolian beef guy from
I like that too.
I mean, they're orange chicken. The show is in no way affiliated or promoted or sponsored by well, let me give you a shout out. In fact, I just had it last week, I think. I like their honey walnut shrimp and their orange chicken. Their mushroom chicken too.
But if Panda wants to send us some free stuff, I'm not going to complain.
If anyone out there from even remotely related to a Panda Express wants to send anything free to us, we're all happy to take it. Same thing for Charlie's, same thing for Auntie Anne's.
Yeah.
Listen, I will take any free food. So,
yeah. How about favorite defunct store?
Mall store.
Yeah, it's got to be defunct though. It can't be Spencer's Gifts because that's too easy.
Okay, that would be the first one I thought of, but I think a backup. Um, what was that? CD record toy. Um, oh my goodness, Justin, if you have one, you can go, but I cannot think of.
Suncoast.
No, but in that same vein, I cannot. Why am I blanking on this name?
See, Suncoast was mine.
Yeah, that's what I was
Suncoast,
thinking about.
Suncoast, and then Coconuts. The music place. Those were like the two big hits I would always go to. I don't know. Is Spencer's not around up by you guys? Because we still have them.
No, that's why I said you couldn't pick it because it's not defunct.
Because it's but no, yeah, definitely Suncoast was with their ridiculously expensive DVDs back in the day.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
$100 for a season of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Right, or, $30, $29.99 for just a regular DVD.
Yeah,
man, yeah, I did enjoy. So I'm trying to look it up. Was it? I'm not thinking of Sam Goody.
Was it Musicland? Is that what you're thinking about?
Oh man,
Sam Goody, yeah, or Tower Records.
Maybe it was Sam Goody. I mean, to be honest, though, any of them, right? So Sam Goody, Suncoast. I mean, any of them where you could get kind of everything, right? They had music, they had movies, they had the pop culture stuff. I mean, those were the fun.
Kind of like what FYE is today.
Yeah, it's you keep saying today, Justin. How often are you in malls now? Because I will tell you, as much as I just said I used to love them and was in there a lot, I cannot off the top of my head think of the last time I was in a mall.
I'll go every now and then. Most of the malls, there's a really good outdoor one in Plainfield that has the movie theater that I like to go to. But when I do go, I usually have to hit up Lids because I'm a hat nerd.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Hit up Lids, hit up FYE, hit up Hot Topic. GameStop, I don't need to because there's GameStops everywhere. And definitely the Lego store in Castleton Mall is a must stop.
Nice. I'm not anti-mall. I just now after COVID, I'm kind of anti-people. So I try to avoid crowds. And since you can order everything online and have it delivered, it's usually my go-to. So, okay. Anything else you guys want to talk about on this episode that we haven't covered before we get into winners and losers, hopes and predictions? No,
not for me.
Okay. So I would say for you guys as well, and if you're listening and haven't yet, I would recommend reading The Last of Us comic book series. It was a 4-issue arc. It's in a trade paperback form. I think I've even mentioned it maybe last episode. There's an app I absolutely love. It's called Hoopla, Hoopla. Again, not sponsored, but I would definitely take a sponsor from them. Although I don't know why they would sponsor us because it's a library app. So you can use your library card to check out materials digitally. So you can get books, audiobooks, comic books, whatever. I use it all the time. And that's where I read it from. So I would highly recommend reading the comic book series. It was fantastic. So, okay, then let's jump into our winners and losers of this episode. If you've seen this before, you already know this. If you're just joining us, there's no criteria for it. It's literally whatever you want. Last episode, I picked the monkeys. So you can be funny with it. You can be serious with it, whatever you want. So it's whoever you thought won the episode and whoever lost the episode. Let's start with Justin.
I mean, I guess it goes without saying. I think the winner of the episode is definitely Ellie. I mean, she, was the one. We see her backstory about how she came to Got Bit, and we see her kind of, make decisions that kind of elevate her to a higher standard among people, because she could very easily have, taken Joel's word and, left him behind and just kind of wrote him off, and she could have walked away from Riley also and just kind of moved on with her life, and her life could very well have turned out a whole lot differently. But she chose to stay, and she chooses, family and the people that she loves more than her own health and well-being at times. So, I definitely thought she was the winner. Yeah, there were definitely, but she's also probably one of my top losers of the episode as well. Had she not gone out and broken the rules and all that stuff, she probably wouldn't have been bit. Her, friend would maybe still be around, maybe would have gotten taken out by Fedra, but and then also Joel is definitely among the winner and loser category. It sucks that he's still hurt and we don't 100% know if he's going to survive or not. But also a winner because he's got Ellie there taking care of him. So kind of a little bit of multifaceted, but it is what it is.
You can't.
I stand by my words.
You can't pick multiple people. Okay, it was a
I
winner.
pick everybody. I pick everybody. Everybody's a winner and everybody's a loser. There we go.
I mean, you started with the unconventional. The winner and loser is the same person. I thought, okay, bold. We haven't done that yet. I like it. And then you're like, well, let's also throw in some more people.
Yeah, let's just throw everyone who appears in that episode as a winner and a loser.
Something you said though, I do want to, before we get to Kev's winners and losers though, you said had she not gone, she wouldn't have gotten bit. Do you think that's a win or a loss? Because if she doesn't get bit, she doesn't know she's immune. Maybe no one else knows she's immune. And who knows what happens from there? Maybe she goes the rest of her life. What if she's never bit by an infected and she never finds out she's immune?
And she just becomes a federal officer and kind of lives their life, Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, you know what? I like, you're right. I'll stand by my original statement, have Ellie as both the winner and the loser for the episode. Okay, moving on. You can edit that out.
I'm leaving it. Kev.
So the loser of the episode, is clearly the Ellie and Riley relationship. I'm just fucking with you guys. I would say that the loser of the episode is definitely Ellie, because she really she felt that loss, I'm sure, and she's going to feel that loss forever. And the only reason that everyone else or she would be a winner is if she's ever able to find some doctors that can come up with a cure. Otherwise, to your point, John, the whole thing may be for naught. So who knows? But yeah, I have some appreciation for Ellie being both the winner and the loser, but I was going to say the winner was Bethany for not having any sort of return to 15 stitches and getting massacred by Ellie, so she won't have to worry about that anymore in Fedra boot camp.
Nice. So I think my winner this week is going to be Joel. So I know he's in a bad spot, but he's still alive. And he got a horse and a maybe 15-year-old girl to drag his ass to a house. And he told her to run away, even though he clearly was terrified. And she came back. And now they're sewing him up. And to your point, Justin, I don't know if he'll survive, but he survived another day. And that's all you could do. The loser, I was going to pick two, but since I gave Justin shit, now I'm going to only pick one. And I'll tell you what my runner up was, I guess. I'm going to pick Malls. As we've talked about, boy, they really used to have a hold in this society, our real society. And then they really had a hold in Ellie's society. And then they died out. And then everyone realized that we don't really need them, or we don't really want to go to them. We can get cheaper food elsewhere, not in a food court. We can buy stuff online. And it's a bummer. I do really miss it sometimes because it was very fun to just walk around and interact with the crazy stores. So I'm going to pick them all as a loser. My backup would have been Ellie too, because I agree with what you said. I mean, yet again, she just keeps getting screwed over. This world cannot stop fucking her over. Anytime she gets just a little bit of happiness, it's immediately ripped away from her. And in the present timeline, if you will, with her, okay, now Joel is on death's precipice again. And she is nowhere closer to where she was going. And his response of go back to Tommy, again, he is the only person who hasn't really abandoned her, who has been there for her, who has lived long enough, unlike Riley, to experience those things of life with her. And so the fact that he was going to die again, she just can't catch a break. So
I'll give you a little bit of shit, John. What if the winner of this episode was that mall? Because it fulfilled its purpose in life, probably for the last one more time.
Yeah. You're not wrong. You could maybe make the case, since this ends in 2003, malls were still a thing, and maybe they went out on top. In our timeline, they've gone away. In this timeline, people still remember them fondly, those that do. So maybe you're right. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the mall is the true winner, and it always is. So something else we do on this show is we do hopes and predictions. for the next episode. There are a couple things I want to mention. So the first is the three of us do watch the inside the episode. So after it airs, they usually interview either the stars or the creators or a mix of the two, and they talk about the episode that just aired. So we do watch that. The other thing we watch is the trailer for the next episode. So usually when we give our hopes and predictions, they're predicated just on the next episode. However, this week, we are going to do hopes and predictions for the rest of the season. There are only 2 episodes left. However, we won't be recording our usual episode by episode because of me. You can blame me. I am taking my mother to Ireland here in a few days, so I will be gone and won't be here to record. And Kevin and Justin have valiantly said that they would not record without me. And so we are going to do a end of season doubleheader like we did for the beginning of the season. So this episode will be out. The next episode will air. We'll be silent. Then the finale will air and we'll come back stronger than ever and talk about both. So these hopes and predictions will be a little stilted because we've seen the trailer for the next episode, but have no idea what the finale is going to hold. So that was a lot of me doing a lot of talking just to get into, Justin, what are your hopes and predictions for the next 2 episodes?
Really, to be honest, I didn't take notes about the trailer and I don't really remember much about it. So I'm not really good to say what I think will happen based upon the trailer, but let me
do 2 things for you.
Okay.
Let me tell you a little bit what happened in the trailer, and then also you maybe talk about the fact that there's 2 episodes left and we are no closer to her being with the Fireflies or having to cure anything. So the trailer, it looks like she's going to run into another group of men. Who they are, it didn't really say. Kevin, feel free to jump in anytime. Right. They didn't seem like Fireflies. They didn't necessarily seem like Raiders. There seemed like one gentleman in particular who wanted to help her, protect her. There was a line in the trailer about the rest of them wanted to kill her. So it seems like she's going to find some more conflict with another group of some sort of survivors. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, I remember that now. Thank you for bringing that back to my mind. But honestly, my prediction is the doctors and the Fireflies and the doctors and all of that are smoke and mirrors. I don't think they're actually out there. I don't think by the end of the season she'll ever get to somewhere where they can use her blood and make a cure. I don't think it exists. I'm not 100% convinced Joel will survive. I think maybe we'll see him go at the end of the season or something like that. But who knows? I could be wrong. And, Ellie may have to, in season 2, may have to make her way through the world without him. And we'll have to see the repercussions of that. So, again, like I said, I don't know. I hope, I like Joel Pascal. I like Pedro Pascal a lot. And I think the Joel character is extremely written well. But we've seen it in shows before where the main character doesn't always survive till the end of the season or doesn't always survive the whole show. So
especially HBO shows.
Hashtag Ned Stark.
Right.
So those are my 2 main predictions. A, the center where they're developing the cure doesn't exist and they've been on a wild goose chase the entire time. And B, I'm not 100% sure Joel makes it.
Okay. Kev?
Well, again, I'm bad at predicting things on shows, but I'm going to guess that there's going to be, another character that's going to be more of a permanent fixture that's going to be introduced in the next one of the next 2 episodes. Whether that has anything to do with the gentleman that was featured in the trailer or not, I don't know. But I think it's coming to a point now where they're going to have another character that's going to be a staple of the show, whoever that ends up being.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's a good time to point out. So last episode, I made mention that I heard on a podcast, which is true. I didn't make this up, that they were going to do 3 seasons of this show. I've been furiously Google searching since that time to get anything to link to or go to it. I still haven't found anything. So there's been some speculation, but nothing confirmed. The one thing we did see was that Neil Druckmann did say that season 2 would be solely based on the second game, which I can only interpret as these next 2 episodes will wrap up the first game. So that surprises me. Because my hope and prediction is that they jam pack a lot of shit in these last 2 episodes, because I don't really know what I actually want from the show. Last week, I think we talked about, I asked you guys, what do you want? What would be a good conclusion to the season? Do you want a cliffhanger? Do you want a resolution of the story? Do you care about the macro stuff in terms of finding the cure and possibly curing people or putting the world back on track? Or do you only care about the Ellie and Joel relationship? And we got our answers. And if you want to hear those, go check out our last episode. But I will say, just as a small reiteration, that I care first and foremost about the Joel and Ellie relationship, but I am wondering how they're going to do that in 2 episodes. Because to your point, Joel's on death's door, Justin. And like you said, I don't know that he'll survive the next episode. And it would seem possibly like just an odd choice to get him back okay for 1 episode to just kill him off in another episode, right? Like this would have been the time to, if I was going to do it, to kill him. If he's going to die, this would have been the thing to do, have their goodbye right there in that house. And then it could have been it. And it would have been, emotional. It would have been all those things. And then you could have had Ellie progress, because we obviously know she's going to be in the second game, right? I don't know if Joel makes it to the second game. Reminder, if this is your first episode, none of us have played either of the games really. So all this is fresh to us. So who knows who does and doesn't make it into the second season, except I think we know Ellie does. So I don't know where this is going with only having 2 episodes left. To your point, Kevin, introducing, because I don't disagree. I think they are about to introduce somebody who's potentially somebody. Introducing these new people at the end of the season. Again, I know it's been renewed for a second season and I'm sure they'll carry over, but I like it to think of it as a chapter in a book. And I would like to bookend this. So introducing someone, having to catch us up with them real quick, having them make a significant impact just to go into season 2 without it feeling like season 1 really ended, unless Joel's death is the end, which it's making me a little nervous. It's probably not founded on anything, because the creators, the actors, everyone on the show has done such a ridiculously amazing job that I should just probably keep my mouth quiet and just enjoy the riches that we've been given. But this is the first time I've been nervous about the show. Again, we have 2 hours left, and it seems like there's a lot of what I thought would happen. I thought we would get to the Fireflies. I thought we would get to some sort of something with her blood. But since it's not quite a lot of runway left, I tend to maybe think I agree with Justin. I think it will turn out to be maybe not impossible or maybe not a hoax, but all those people you saw in what was it, Boston? They tried to those were the people. They got. The people you maybe could have gotten in Salt Lake, guess what? They also got. Like there's not congratulations, we're glad you're immune, but we are not prepared to set up in any way to do anything about it. So good luck with your life. Don't die. And I don't know how I feel about that. So I have sprouted on, but it's the first time I'm concerned how they'll land this plane, if you will. But any final thoughts? Again, we're talking and predicting and going out for the rest of the season, because we'll do both of these last 2 episodes in one. Anything else you guys want to add?
I'm still interested to find out if they're going to have to go overseas for some reason, if they'll, maybe they find out that there's some more advanced group of doctors that have been able to set up a better, bigger QZ with maybe even without Fedra overseas. That might be part of it. Who knows? But I don't know. I find myself wishing that the entire show would branch out just a little bit as far as what's in Canada, what's overseas, it's all got to be US centric, but I get that it's a huge audience, but I'd be interested to see if they do any more world building and decide to branch out a little bit.
Justin, anything else?
Actually, yeah, that's a really good point, Kevin. I wonder how the rest of the world is getting along. And that'd be something that I just finished re-listening to the World War Z audiobook today. and just kind of how they go and all over the world and talk about how different countries handle the situation and all that. So that kind of has me thinking about that every now and then too, like what's going on in Europe, what's going on in South America. So I kind of hope maybe they do eventually touch on it. If not in the show, maybe they'll find a way to touch on it somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've seen a little, in those early flashbacks. We saw Jakarta, we saw just a little bit. I'm okay with it. I'm actually, I guess, the opposite of you guys. I don't particularly care at this moment. Like I said, I'm much more interested in the relationship between Joel and Ellie specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is fine, but I usually find that it's disappointing because, my mind is already filled in what I imagine happened, how it went down and how things are playing out. So anything they give is probably going to be a bit of a letdown. So I only care about these two relationships and what happens, with them and how their lives hopefully are improved. But quite frankly, I wouldn't bet on that outcome. So, okay, well, that's going to do it for us. As a reminder, we are going to take a week off and come back and review both the penultimate and season finale of The Last of Us. We are a Gray 17 podcast, in as much as we are hosted on the Gray 17 network. Justin, Kevin, and I are co-hosts of Gray 17, a Babylon 5 podcast, which I am sure most of you are aware of if you've gotten here. If you haven't or you aren't, please take a moment to check that show out. We have a mix of newbies like Justin and I, and first ones like Kevin, who have seen the show many times and know all of the answers. And we are reviewing the show episode by episode. So if you're interested, please take a look at the links below. You can you can subscribe, you can comment, you can watch, you can enjoy all of that. Same goes for this show. You can find all of our past episodes and all of our future episodes if you hit subscribe. So for us, I have been John, and with me, as always, has been
Justin
and Kevin.
Thank you very much, and we will see you in 2 weeks.